What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another edition of the remote front office. As for always, before we get started, make sure to hit that like button, the subscribe button, and that notification bell. Monday, Wednesday, Friday over here. Not gonna lie, the Monday, Wednesday, Friday thing is a little difficult in the heat of the off season here. But we are still putting out the content 3 days a week. So today's video is again going to be slightly off the normal path of how this channel started. We are going to be discussing the trade request by Damian Lillard. I know I've kind of brushed over it here in a video there, right? But all in all, I think that it is time that we kind of address it as its own topic, right? Because I've heard a couple people speak on this, and I'm kind of curious as to where you guys fall, right? So you have one camp that is Dame has been loyal to this organization for years. He could have asked for a trade out a while ago. Did not. He is now asking for one out as they have not appeared to his direction. You should do everything right by him. You should trade him to Miami. There's the other camp who is, this is a business. You trade him to highest possible suitor regardless. And then a little while after that, we had the news of Dame's agent is telling other teams he won't report to training camp. So do not trade for him, right? Unless you are Miami. And then we've had the GM of the Blazers come out since then during Summer League and say, we will wait. We don't care. We want the best possible offer. So that's kind of the recap, the quick little 90-second recap, if you will. My thoughts on it, right? I am going to try and see this from both sides. I understand if you are Damian Lillard, that obviously you do not want to go to, no offense to the organizations I'm about to name, but a Washington situation or possibly like a Detroit or etc. You don't want to go to a rebuild, is my point. You want to go to a team that is ready to contend, and you want to go to a team that is going to put you past where Portland is currently, because otherwise, why not just stay in Portland, right? On the other hand, you do have to understand the NBA is a business. And I've also heard this kind of thrown out on like different podcasts like Bill Simmons and etc. They have to, the organization has to do right by Damian Lillard is the terming they've used, and that the agent will see this and maybe it'll help them in their next deal. Let's be honest. Every agent, because unless it's for the same player, is going to expect you to do right by the player regardless, right? Because each individual player is not going to be like, well, this agent got a favor for this guy, so I have to do the agent a favor in order to keep him around, right? That's not how this works, right? Every player is going to look out for their interests, not for the greater interest of that particular agency. That being said, if I am the Blazers, I'm holding out, right? Miami hasn't budged since offseason started, right? You lost Max Strus, you lost PJ Tucker the year before. You keep losing players. You've lost Gabe Vincent out of the Lakers. You keep losing players, and you haven't refilled their positions, right? I understand this team is probably the best in the league at undrafted players or lesser-known players getting more opportunity and more shine and developing into something, right? However, at some point, the dice roll runs out, right? At some point, all these undrafted guys just aren't going to pan out. It's just the reality of the situation. Jimmy Butler is 33. His window is sooner rather than later, right? Dame also falls into this time frame. So I think personally the pressure is more so on Miami to get this deal done rather than Portland. If I'm Portland, I'm waiting. Also, if I'm Portland, though, I don't know if I want to trade him out west, right? It's kind of an old school mentality of you see those teams more, you see them in the playoffs more as your team develops. I mean, unless you're getting a killer package, right? He's not going out west, in my mind at least. I also saw one random video of OKC can throw together everything without having to throw together like actual players in a trade. You're going to have to give up somebody. It's just how it works. I understand that there's a big salary differential as far as what OKC has in cap space, but you're still going to have to give up something, right? So personally, I'm not a fan of the OKC theory. I'm not a fan of the San Antonio theory. I think you need to find a healthy balance. I also saw one about Chicago. As a Bulls fan, stop immediately. Stop. We're not taking Dame. We don't want Dame. I'm not trading Zach LaVine for Dame. We understand that we are a middle-of-the-road team at best. I'm not continuing that with Dame. Dame doesn't want to come to Chicago either because he understands this team is a middle-of-the-road team that won't pay the luxury tax. That point, done. The Jaylen Brown news makes me a little nervous. We still don't have anything as far as a deal done for Jaylen Brown, which is a little weird. I felt like that would have been like one of the first 3 moves we heard about in free agency. Hasn't happened yet. The rumor is right now it's on the incentives as far as hitting this gets you X amount to reach your full max, whatever. That does make me nervous now because we are now through the middle of July. And I thought that was going to be done at the beginning of July, right? So Boston, I could see maybe if it's a true all-in, you trade it for Porzingis. You know you have like a 3-year window with Porzingis. You trade for Dame. You take Dame's 4 years. Those two together, you're essentially asking that this has to be our time. End of discussion. The Miami deal, obviously. I've heard Brooklyn. Brooklyn's interesting. I just don't know if it puts him higher up, like a noticeable difference, right, compared to the Portland team that he's had the last couple of years, right? Obviously, you're going to compete for a playoff spot, maybe round 2, but that's really as far as you're going to get. I also heard some random Milwaukee news. I just don't think they have the assets to get it done. You're not taking on Drew Holiday unless he's going to a third team, and a third team's not giving you enough assets for Drew Holiday to make it into a Dame trade. So I really feel like it's just, while I feel like Miami has to get it done, I just don't see a team that's necessarily outbidding Miami right away, right? Like Brooklyn, sure, it's a bunch of draft picks, and you're probably getting like Ben Simmons or something like to fill the cap differential, right? But other than that, there's not really a team that's going to offer you as much as Miami can offer you, right? Tyler Hero, I personally think would have to go to a third team. I think that's what's taking so long in the eyes of a Miami trade, because I just think there's too many guards that don't play defense already on that Portland roster. You can't add another one that can't go down a slot, right? He pretty much has to be a shooting guard type role. I don't really think he can play small forward. So I just think while there's a lot of different ways this can go, I think it ends up one way, right? I think at some point around training camp, Dame ends up in Miami. Whether it's for the full package of 3 firsts, the 2 guys that have been drafted the last 2 years, Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson, etc. Who knows? Personally, I think it's probably more of a maybe you do a Tyler Hero goes to third team, like let's say Brooklyn. Brooklyn then sends a first and Ben Simmons to Portland, and then you get the rest of the stuff from Miami, right? So you get the Duncan Robinson contract, you get like 2 firsts, a swap, and Nikola Jovic, right? Maybe it's something like that. But all in all, I don't see a clean trade because Dame is at such a high cap threshold that just really makes it difficult. But let me know your guys' thoughts as far as what teams you would like to see him go to. As of right now, I think on Miami, Brooklyn, Pelicans would be interesting. I just don't know how they have the assets necessarily as far as the cap room to trade him, unless you're trading Brandon Ingram, and I don't want to trade Brandon Ingram from New Orleans. So let me know your guys' trade destinations for Dame. And obviously, with my luck, as I post this, the trade's going to break, and then we'll go from there. But yeah, I appreciate you guys coming through. I will catch you guys in the video on Wednesday. Peace.